Hey everybody, this is Kerry with the week ahead look for May 31st through June 6th. I'm going to say hi without my sunglasses, but it is a very bright and very windy day here today, so we're going with that. But I'll just say hi and put these back down so I can be more comfortable. So this is, I'm recording this on Saturday the 30th. Tonight, between Saturday and Sunday, and it depends where you are, we're going to have the full moon in Scorpio. So wherever you are, go look at sunset tonight. You'll see the full moon rising on the eastern horizon. It's great. The moon will be in Scorpio, Anuradha Nakshatra, for the full moon. You can read more about that. I always write about it, but I'm going to link up to the May forecast, so it'll be at the very end of that May forecast. I've also managed to get the June forecast finished. I'll also link to that. When I put those forecasts out, I've been writing the monthly forecast for 25 years. It's usually over 3,000 words. I do it all by myself. I've done it for all these years. And so it can be kind of heavy. It's a big long thing. I do have a summary that's a really short, quick thing that's at the beginning. So you can go to my website, planetaryinfluence.com, look for the forecast tab, and then you can find the current forecast. There's also an archive of 25 years. So if you're curious about, what happened in July of, 2011, you could find that out. Anyway, so those are that monthly forecast. When you see it on YouTube, it's only going to be the audio. It pushes through from my podcast host. So anyway, welcome to this week. The big news of this week, so we're starting out with the full moon, and then the week kicks in with Sunday the 31st. The moon will be waning for the entire week. It has, which brings us more to the feeling of integrating and putting into place as the moon wanes for the next 2 weeks. So for this week, the moon is going to travel through Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and then finishes on Saturday by making it into Aquarius and joining Rahu. So I've been talking about this Kala Amrita Yoga for a while. I made a video about that too. Link. The idea of this thing is that all of the planets, if we draw a line, like if you look at the RA and the KE in the chart depicted here, that is the nodal axis, Rahu and Ketu. They move in tandem with each other in reverse motion for the most part. There are days when the nodes do go direct. If you're looking as I click through, when you see no underline under the Rahu and Ketu symbols, that means they're direct. So it's kind of wobbly, but let's keep our eye on this, because as the sun gets closer and closer to Ketu through the summer, we'll see more and more time when Rahu and Ketu are direct. Fun fact. Okay, anyway, back to Sunday and the moon. So the moon's going to be basically by itself through the week, waning, but still bright. Like just after the full moon, for that week after the full moon, we can still see that moon. It's given us some light. You're also going to notice that moon is traveling through signs this week where there aren't any other planets. There's pros and cons to that feeling. There is a lonely moon theory, but there's also a get out of the room and let me think theory. So it's not a good or bad, it's just how it is. And even though moon will be alone in the sense of not conjoining other planets, as soon as it leaves Scorpio and gets into Sagittarius, it starts getting the aspects of Mercury and Venus from Gemini. So that's a positive thing. And then when the moon moves into Capricorn, which can be a little bit of a dry spot for the moon, Jupiter will aspect the moon. We have this, that's the other big news of the week and the year. Jupiter moving into Capricorn. And that's happening on June 1st. Jupiter going into, oh, I'm sorry, I just said Capricorn. Jupiter's moving into Cancer, which is the Jupiter's sign of exaltation, meaning that Jupiter performs very well when it transits through Cancer. And I wrote a lot about that in the June forecast, so I already put a link. They won't let me put another one. Just go find it. And Jupiter, it's promising a lot. I'm just being really transparent. I've been waiting for this, you guys. I've been waiting for Jupiter to get to Cancer. For me, for you, for all the people I care about, it just seems like it's been a long haul where Saturn's been strongly placed in Capricorn, then strongly placed in Aquarius, and then Jupiter's been in a tough spot. But for the last 5 or 6 years, mostly Saturn's been doing better than Jupiter, which equates to limitation and contraction winning out over growth and expansion. So let's see. That Jupiter transit through Cancer is going to be a 5-month stretch of direct motion Jupiter going all the way through the entire sign. Then it gets into Leo for a while and will come back via a retrograde cycle. So it gets back to Cancer in middle of January. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But this 5-month stretch coming, I'm excited about it. I hope good things happen for you and me and everyone. So that's the other big news of the week, month, and year. Okay, so with that said, the only other thing I have to say, no other planets are shifting signs this week except Jupiter. Jupiter will move out of Gemini into Cancer, and that's the main shift aside from the moon. I feel like the powerful tool we have this week is with Mars. Mars is in Aries, which is his own sign. It's his fire sign. From Aries, Mars aspects Cancer and Libra and Scorpio. So as soon as Jupiter moves into Cancer, he's going to get that push in the form of courage or aggression from Mars. So that could also help start things moving and initiate new things especially with the Mars being in Aries. Specifically too, you can see that it's at 15 degrees Aries on Sunday. It will move slowly beyond that. But that is the section of Aries that we call Bharani Nakshatra, the lunar mansion ruled by the planet Venus and the deity Yama. Bharani has a lot to do with getting it done, bearing weight, doing tough things. And I think we can attribute that to a sense of Mars plus Venus energy combined. That sense of sometimes it takes masculine, sometimes it takes feminine. Usually it takes a mixture of both to get things going. So realize that Mars up in Aries during this week is really a supportive force, especially when we got to do hard things, difficult things. Okay, let's go through each day, and I will give you the daily keywords and just a few notes about each of the days. All right, Sunday, you can see that the moon at 17 degrees is opposite the sun at 15 something degrees. That's just after the full moon. I make these at sunrise, each of these days we look at. So things could change based on this static thing that I'm showing you. So moon is in Anuradha nakshatra when it gets full, and then it immediately moves into Jesta nakshatra. So that is the nakshatra of the day for Sunday. It's also the first day after the full moon, the first day of the dark half of the moon. And the other thing is that Jupiter is getting really, really ready to move. I feel like there's a party up in Gemini with Venus and Mercury cheering Jupiter on and sending him off. That's what it feels like to me for Sunday. Anyway, words for Sunday are integrate, insight. The full moon brings a lot of clarity. And as it starts waning, we have to take what we learned and put it into practical use. Integrate, insight for Sunday. Monday is June 1st, and this is the day Jupiter will move. You can see at the beginning of the day, Jupiter is still at the very, very threshold of Gemini, and Cancer has not yet moved. But during the day on Monday, Jupiter advances. And the moon, 29 degrees 4 at the beginning of the day, which is the very, very last sliver of Jesta, it's going to move into Mula nakshatra. So it's jumping that gap between Scorpio and Sagittarius and moving into Mula nakshatra. I'm going to lace Monday and Tuesday together. For the most part, I'm seeing Mula coming up really strong. It's kind of a catch-up day or a pause day, because the way the nakshatras and the tithis and all of that line up, sometimes there's a lag. So let's think about Monday and Tuesday being Mula nakshatra, because Monday it's barely going to be in Jesta. I mean, it's just a few minutes and then it's moving. So Monday and Tuesday we're going to talk about Mula. And even the Tithi. I'm looking at both of those days as the same energy. Cancer, Jupiter to Cancer happens Monday. And the moon moves into Mula. Words are uproot, limitations. Limitations is a Saturn feeling to me. And as I said, Saturn's been dominant. Jupiter's moving into a place where hopefully some doors will open up. The other thing, when moon moves into Sagittarius, it's getting a nice look from Mercury and Venus, who are in Gemini. And it's also getting a nice look from Saturn in Sagittarius. The aspect of Saturn is going there right now. So that's the limitations, and that's the uprooting feeling. Uproot limitations on Monday. And Tuesday, pairing with Monday, we're gonna still see Saturn aspecting Moon even tighter on Tuesday. And what else happens? Oh, yes. Rahu, look at him up there at 9 degrees 4. On Tuesday, Mercury is going to advance enough in Gemini to move exactly through Rahu's aspect zone. It's a very tight aspect. Just things I'm noticing for this week. Tuesday's words are seek, root, causes. So on Monday, we uprooted limitations. And maybe with the hole that we make as we uprooted something, we can look down into that vacancy and see what was going on deep, deep down that is causing whatever it is we're examining at the moment. Okay, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, I always think of as the pivot point of the week. It's the middle of the day. That's hump day, as we used to say when I was a kid. No, it's not advancing. Come on. There we go. Okay, Wednesday, moon starts out the day at 22 degrees 49 Sagittarius. That is Purvashada Nakshatra. My overall keyword this week was let it flow. That comes from that Wednesday for some reason. I just really felt like there's a lot of flow. I'm going to pause here and just say also, I forgot to mention to you before, when Jupiter moves on June 1st, it gets into Cancer and sets up a very true Graha malika yoga. Graha means planets. Malika means necklace, and yoga means combination. So the idea of like all of the planets kind of in contiguous signs. Western astrology, I think they call it a bucket chart. But everything's all on one side. And I've also been talking about that with Kala Amrita Yoga. So we're going to get that Graha malika yoga even without the moon over there. So you can see all of the signs are occupied. That's the other part of the let it flow keyword for the whole entire week. I think of Graha malika yoga as being a continuum of action. So starting with Rahu and going to Saturn and then Mars and then all the way through. So it's the idea of things are going to be moving whether or not you jump into the current. So maybe think about it. The thumbnail I picked was the cute little ducks in the river. And the one duck's out there like looking at the other four stuck ones like, come on. That's kind of me talking to you. All right, so Wednesday, back to Wednesday, June 3rd. Moon is in Purvashada. Saturn gets a pretty tight aspect to the moon, as well as Venus and Mercury. And the moon is sensitive. It's our sensitive side. Saturn, Mercury, and Venus inspired me to have the keywords be facts, not feelings, for Wednesday. The moon in Purvashada has wisdom coming from Jupiter, its ruler. This is also Jupiter and the moon in an exchange of signs as the moon moves through Sagittarius now that Jupiter's gotten to Cancer, which is positive. So do not let emotion and sensitivity drive you in the wrong direction this week. Find the facts, look at them analytically, feel your feelings, but don't let your feelings rule the decisions, especially in the middle of this week. Facts, not feelings, Wednesday. Maybe we should have that be every Wednesday, every Wednesday's keywords. Thursday, June 4th, the moon has advanced over into Capricorn. It's in Uttarashada. Uttarashada Nakshatra spans between the last degrees of Sag and into Capricorn. This puts the moon and Jupiter not in an exchange of signs, but now in a mutual opposition with each other. So there's a lot of moon-Jupiter talk this week. And so Thursday's words are build endurance. The endurance vibe comes from the Saturn ruling Capricorn, and the building part comes from Jupiter. Uttarashada Nakshatra is a very creative little slice of the zodiac that spans between Sagittarius and Capricorn. So build endurance. There's a lot to do. There's a lot coming. All right. All that cool Jupiter energy. What are you going to do with it? Friday is June 5th, and moon is in Shravana Nakshatra. Still in Capricorn, still receiving Jupiter's energy. And Shravana is a softer place. It's a very receptive nakshatra. Receive wisdom. that's Friday. It implies getting quiet and settling down and finding the strength, actually, to receive wisdom. So that's Friday. And this is June 6th, the Saturday. Okay. Moon starts out the day at the very last minute of Capricorn, and then will flow over into Aquarius. This is Dhanishta Nakshatra. The word for Saturday is maintain rhythm. Dhanishta has a drum as one of its symbols, hand drum. So the idea of making rhythm, keeping rhythm, is a nod to Saturn. Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius. So Dhanishta is a dynamic, action-oriented nakshatra. And it's also going to bring the moon all the way into hanging out with Rahu by the end of Saturday, June 6th. So Moon and Rahu going together is going to kick off another round of that Kala Amrita Yoga. I'm sure I'll talk about it next week. So maintain rhythm for Saturday. What I'm trying to give you is the sense that this week has a lot of perspective. It has a lot of integration. We got clarity. We had space. Things are starting to move. Jupiter kicking into Cancer feels like a call to action. Moon going back into Kala Amrita Yoga next week could make us feel like we're losing control again. So at least maintain rhythm. Okay, that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I love your comments. I always appreciate them and try to answer questions and comments that you have. You're also welcome to request things. It's been a hard year for me. I'm tacking this on to the end of the video, so you can turn it off if you don't want to hear about me. I had big plans to do a lot of teaching and get courses together and etc. in 2026. And one thing after another kind of has gotten in my way. And plans are still there. Maybe Jupiter in Cancer will help. We'll see. So anyway, I appreciate you all tuning in and following my antics and waiting for all the things that I promise that I'm going to do. And this week my feeling was, well, if I had a little extra time, I think what I would do is probably pick some well-known person's chart and just do an analysis. Mr. Gavin Newsom is still on the top of my list. If that sounds exciting to you, let me know. Otherwise, check out the June forecast, and I will be back next Saturday with my week ahead. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a good week.